Hey guys, welcome to my Star Wars Modern 3.75 inch vintage carded top 10 list. It's a bit of a mouthful, I know. So this is going to be made up of figures that I own in my collection, and I own the entire vintage original trilogy collection. I own pretty much the entire vintage saga collection. I'm only missing the George Lucas in Stormtrooper uniform, which is no great loss. And also, this will consist of the first release of the vintage collection. Now, I only own about 45 of the 115 or so vintage collection figures from the original release. So, make of this what you will. And apart from being a part of my collection, the other criteria that I will take into account for this top 10 list are the image on the card. So it has to be an image that is a good representation of the character and a good quality image as well. The figure itself, obviously a good likeness to the on-screen character and good articulation in the figure. And then the last criteria is my feelings on the character, how I feel about the character. Yes, it's my channel, my rules, I can do what I want. I don't like your chances characters from Attack of the Clones or making this top 10 list. But anyway, let's do this. At number 10 we have Mr. IG-88 from the Vintage Saga collection. Now, have a look at this. Very, very nice card, figure, awesome. The image on the card is maybe not quite as well as defined as it could be, a little bit glary and that sort of thing, but the figure looks awesome. Unfortunately, I don't have the figure loose, but from what I can tell, looking at him through the bubble, he looks fantastic, and the image isn't too bad actually. So a great number 10, I think. Number 9 is another figure from the Vintage Saga collection and another bounty hunter, and it is Bosque. Bosque himself, Bosque. Now, the image on the card is, in my mind, a little bit worse than the IG-88 image. It's even more glary, and you can't really make out his uniform or his flight suit that well. But the figure makes up for it. As far as I'm concerned, that looks like an awesome figure. Unfortunately, another figure that I do not have loose, but definitely worthy of number 9 at the very least in my top 10. Number 8 is Darth Rota from the Vintage collection, and I really, really love this as a whole package type thing. The figure is like a pretty standard sort of rebel pilot from that era. The look, the articulation, that sort of thing. But obviously they've given him the accurate Darth Rota helmet, the paint job. But I absolutely love the image on the card and the colours they've used on the backing of the bubble and the name tag and that sort of thing to match the rebel logos on his helmet. That image as well is absolutely perfect. He definitely looks like he could, he's thinking he could take on the whole Empire by himself at that moment. I've got the Vintage Original Trilogy Collection version of Return of the Jedi Boba Fett at number 7. Now, when was this? This was released in 2004, and they did a fantastic job in the sculpt and the articulation all the way back then. Did they re-release this in the Vintage collection? I'm not sure. I only have the Empire Strikes Back version of the Vintage collection Boba Fett, and that's average because they did a removable helmet jobby on that, and it just looks crap. The reason this is so low is because of the paint job on the helmet. That sort of cheek area should be black instead of dark green, and I prefer live action shots in the card, but I understand this is like a throwback to the original Boba Fett card, so very cool. So I've got another Vintage Original Trilogy collection figure at number 6, and this is, at least the card back is an absolute stunner. If the figure was a little bit better, I think this would be vying for number one, to be honest. Now that for me, that card back, that image of Yoda sums up The Empire Strikes Back. I don't know if it sums it up, but that is such an iconic image. That's Yoda just sitting there, all-knowing, seeing through Luke's crap, just at one with the Force. Just that is a stunning card back. If that figure was a little bit better, like I said, it's not too bad. I don't have this loose, but I think maybe it's only like the paint on the eyes, or maybe the sculpt on the eyes. Apart from that, yeah, absolutely brilliant. At number 5, I have the Vintage Collection Bomb Vim Din Cantina Patron. It'll be interesting to see how people respond to this. This is simply a stunning figure and a stunning card back. Look at the image on that card back. Absolutely brilliant. I love the colours used as well. The figure, I do have this figure loose, and it is a stunning figure, stunning sculpt, great articulation, great accessories. The paint job in the head, you're not going to see this through the bowl, but there's all veins sticking out of his head, and they've been slightly painted and all sort of stuff. It is a stunning figure. Just a sort of background Cantina Patron, but great overall package. Number 4 is Darth Julius Maul, and while he was actually a very undeveloped character in the film, he's obviously a fan favourite, and I think he's really cool as well. The actual figure is one of those figures that's got a mix of plastic and soft goods media, and as I keep telling Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's probably sick of me telling him this, I'm not a fan of that, but I do like the figure. But more importantly, I do like the character, even though it's undeveloped, and that image on the card is absolutely stunning. He looks like a lion looking at a gazelle or something like that. He wants to kill it and eat it, and that is a stunning image, and that is why he is number 4. Number 3 is the Gamorrean Guard. Now, with these last 3 figures, I had a lot of trouble deciding which figure would go where. Now, I decided on the Gamorrean Guard being number 3 simply because of the paint job on the face is not quite accurate, as you can see if you compare that to the image on the card. The below the jaw and the snout and that sort of thing sort of painted the wrong colour. But I mean, that's a gripe. But also because of the size of the figure, you don't get such a nice big image of the character on the card. And if you remember, these are all the sort of criteria that I spoke about at the start of this video. And it's a fantastic figure. Unfortunately, it's another one that I don't have loose. I wish I did have a few of these loose to put on the sail barge when it arrives, hopefully in the next month or two. And but still, fantastic figure, and that is number 3. And number 2 is yet another vintage Saga collection figure, and as you can see here, it is the Return of the Jedi Scout. Have a look at that card back image. That is, I don't think they could have composed the image much better than that. The figure is stunning, the image is stunning. This could very well have been number 1 if the figure that ended up being number 1 hadn't existed. But awesome figure, awesome. And this is back in 2006, 12 years ago. Hasbro were doing stunning things, and look what they're doing now. But anyway, I digress. Like I said, could very easily have been number 1. I do have this figure loose. Amazing figure. That car back image. Look at that. Absolutely brilliant. What the fuck? Okay, so number 1 on my top 10 list of modern vintage carded 3.75 inch figures is the A New Hope Han Solo from the original trilogy collection all the way back in 2004. And as far as I know, this is still the best 3.75 inch super articulated New Hope Han Solo, and obviously that's an iconic image on the card. Really good quality image as well. I believe that's probably a publicity shot. It's not a shot from the movies. I can't remember, but still an iconic image, iconic character. My favourite character from the Star Wars series. So it ticks all boxes there, and that is why it is number one. Alright guys, let me know what you think of this list in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.